Let's get real. Welcome to TBC Today. This podcast features friends in and around the Triad Baptist Church community. Hear encouraging real-life stories from our weekly guests and inspiring insights from our host, Pastor Rob. To learn more about Triad Baptist Church in Kernersville, North Carolina, visit us online at tbcnow.org.
Welcome to another episode of TBC Today, our podcast from Triad Baptist Church, where we talk to people from our church and our community. We want to hear real stories about real people. Today we have Chasity Brown with us. And Chasity used to work in our preschool. She's been at Triad, our church, for about 8 years. And of course, I've known you for a really long time. We used to go to church together a long time ago as well. She has 2 children, and we're going to talk about that in a minute with Pastor Rob. And so we're excited to have Chasity with us today. Chasity, we're going to let Pastor Rob flip our timer.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that.
So this is what keeps us on track. And we're excited about this. So we've got Pastor Rob, of course. He's going to lead the discussion. So Rob, why don't you get real?
I'll try to get real. Chasity, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself as far as your background and where you grew up and anything that would kind of give us a context as we get into it today.
Okay. So I was born in San Diego, California. So I am officially a California girl. Lived there till I was 5 and then moved to West Virginia because of my dad's job. And then lived there for several years and then moved to North Carolina. So
how old were you when you moved to North Carolina?
Goodness, I'm going to say 12, 11 or 12.
Okay.
And then went to Gospel Light School. And that was quite a shocker for me going into, I was in 7th grade, so I was a little bit older actually.
How was it a shocker?
Big school. I had always gone to, small schools and ACE schools. And I think Kayla can relate to that. And so that was just a big shocker, switching classes and going to a big school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was great. And we've been in North Carolina ever since then.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We love it here.
So how many years is that probably?
Oh, man. I was 12, 13. I'm now.
Yeah. Well, we'll just leave it there.
Can't ask
That's good enough.
25 plus years. A long time. And, North Carolina is definitely my most favorite state. We love it here.
And so you weren't in California long?
Not long.
Yeah. What'd your dad do?
Not long. He retired from the Postal Service. He was a postmaster in West Virginia and then also in North Carolina.
Did that have anything to do with Daniel getting in that?
No, actually.
He just wanted to go into...
my dad may have mentioned to him a few times about applying for positions, and then an opportunity came up where he's at now.
Okay.
But, with Daniel's job, he never touches mail. He never sees a stamp. Human resources is very different. I always want stamps, and he can never get them for me. So, and he's been there for 10, 12 years, quite a while.
Now, how did you two meet?
We met at Gospel Light Church. He
Teenagers?
saw me. I had graduated from college and
Really?
home.
Where were you at in college?
Hiles-Anderson Christian College.
Okay.
Very fundamental.
Very
strict. Very fundamental. Top of the line.
And it's kind of funny. We used to do these big Easter plays at Gospel Light years ago. And so Chasity and Daniel and, of course, her dad, they were all in the plays. And that was part of y'all kind of getting together, right?
And y'all really didn't were sweet on each other at that time.
Well, we were married at that time.
Oh, okay.
We were married. We were always the crowd people,
But even in school, were you a
she
little
sings.
older?
Chastity's a great singer. So you got to give yourself a little bit of credit.
Oh,
She's a great singer, and she sings with our worship band as well.
Yeah.
And you would sing.
So you weren't sweet on each other in high school. Was there some age between you? Was he a little older?
2 years.
2 years older.
So I went away to college for 4 years, came home, actually had a boyfriend in college that I was serious about. The Lord fizzled that out. Thank goodness he lived in California. My dad definitely fizzled that. Met Daniel when I came home. I think I stood up in church they were honoring bus workers. And we had the highest number in our bus route. And I stood up and Daniel said, I saw you and I just had to meet you. And it took him a month or 2 to walk up to me and meet me.
That's great.
It was great. It was so funny because I knew he was wanting to do that. And that was so funny. Went out on a date with him, didn't want to because I wasn't ready. And I'm so glad I did because he was the most perfect gentleman that I had ever, and respectful man that I'd ever gone out with. So, and I knew that I had a good one. Like, I can't let him go. I know I'm not ready for a relationship, but I really just can't let him go. So
that's wonderful.
We dated not long, 9 months, engaged. So everything was very quick. And
26 years later.
26 years later, and he still makes me happy. So here we are.
That's great. Okay, well, one of the reasons we invited you on the podcast is just to kind of get to know you a little bit about from what's going on in your life right now. We know you have 2 children. Just tell us briefly about them.
Okay, I have, my firstborn is Leah Brown. She is 18. I'm sorry, she is 19. I can't keep up. Luke is, he's 17, and he'll be 18 this month. So what a treasure kids are, and they are a blessing. And they're not perfect. None of us are. But they're a blessing, and I'm grateful to be their mom.
That's good. And so he's getting ready to graduate here from the academy, right?
Yeah.
This May, just around the corner.
I know.
And so, and she's already in school.
Mm-hmm.
And where's she at?
She's at Guilford Tech.
Guilford Tech.
And she's going for her LPN certificate. So she'll get that in about 18 months.
And is she looking to transfer somewhere, or is she probably just going to stay with that?
She may transfer to UNCG. Just depends on what she wants to do after she gets her certificate.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what the Lord has in
cool.
store for her. We tell her, pray about it, pray on the direction that he wants you to go in. And if he wants you to stay put with just your LPN license, then go forward with that. If you want more and he wants more for you, then definitely move forward.
Okay, before I get into that, let me just throw something at you here you probably weren't expecting. But I know your husband's really into like the Dave Ramsey approach to life. I mean, and he was dead serious about that. I remember probably 10 years ago him really diving into it. What's that been like for you? I never really did ask you. What's it like to go through and just be rigorous in the way you handle your finances?
And maybe explain the Dave Ramsey process, because some people may not know that. Financial Peace University.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, as many of you know, we did have the Dave Ramsey classes here on different quarters during our Sunday night snack classes. And we, of course, jumped on those. But before that even happened here, we have been Dave Ramsey fans for many, many years. And Daniel had just listened to him on the radio. I think he's on 600 or something. And we just decided that we were going to jump on that and live like no one else, so we can live like no one else one day, right? So, so many people spend more money than they have coming in, and we were that way too. And, credit cards and things like that, you paid off at the end of the month. Well, things happen and you don't. Life happens and you're not able to do that. So then you have this debt snowball following behind you. So we decided to jump on board. It's been probably 10 years. We use an envelope system provided by Ramsey Resources, and we put our money in there, cash for 2 weeks of what we would spend every 2 weeks.
Literal cash,
y'all, cash, right? And it's been great. We know where our money's going. We have our grocery money. We have our everything is in there.
No, but is one of you tighter than the other? Or Daniel's tighter?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
he's
so
the
you acted like
one.
you jumped right in and were thrilled
I
about it.
No, I wasn't.
Well, what was like?
I stomped my feet a little bit.
I can see that.
I did. I mean, red hair, we're just that way. We always stomp some. But, he definitely squeaks when he walks. He's the tight one. So that was kind of easier for him. But I'm the one who managed the money with the envelope. So I had to learn how to do that, really, to not buy that cute pair of shoes when I wanted them. If I had him in my envelope, the money, then I could. But, but it's been so great for our family. We don't take spontaneous vacations. If we don't have the money, we don't take them. Our kids, they're going to college with no loans. Right? I mean, who wants their children to have that burden on their shoulders?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough.
And that's not how everybody feels, and that's okay. We're all different. But that was just the route that we've chosen to take. The kids are working. They're paying for half of their college, and we'll cover the rest. And hopefully these little lessons and these little things that we do follow them, and it's something that they will pass on to their children as well.
Now, how far are you from being debt-free?
We are. We're
You're
debt
debt-free now.
The only thing we have is our house, and that will be paid for in just a couple years. So that feels kind of good to be. I'm going to be 50 in a few years, but it feels good to know that our house will be almost paid for, and it's sacrifice. It is a sacrifice, but it's a sacrifice that's worth it, and you have to focus on
the end game, where you're trying to get,
rather than where you're at right now. You see people vacationing and doing all these great things, and you think, oh, I want to do that so bad. Oh, I want to go on a cruise. Oh, I want to. But then you rethink what you're doing, and you say, I'm working for a big goal and a big picture here. This is what we're doing.
So when you get debt free, is there some kind of bigger range goal you do have from that point on financially, or not really? I mean, like, would you sell your land or your house and move somewhere, or?
We probably, honestly, will just stay where we are. We live in Stokesdale, so we live kind of out in the country, and
you like that?
We love it. I mean, there are people that would probably buy my house right now. Probably friends that I know, because they want to be out in the country, and houses are selling so quickly right now that I feel like that wouldn't be a problem, but we love where we are. So what we'll probably do is fix up what we have, and just stay where we are. The kids won't be there, so we'll have more room, but it's.
So you don't feel deprived. You don't feel like you deprived your kids either, like, even though they didn't get the things they wanted, or maybe you didn't get the things you wanted. It's okay. It's like.
It's okay. And I may say that they may feel like, because they see friends getting and doing, and they may have some thoughts with that, but they've been really good about not being negative, and they know. They just kind of know how we roll and the way that we do things financially. And
okay, good. Well, maybe we'll come back to that later, but let's jump a little to more the fact that you're coming close to being an empty nester, and just wanted to really think that through with you here today, and give us some of your thoughts. Okay, so first of all, you're not right there yet, but you're going to be there. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, are you starting to think about that, or what's going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. I've thought about it for years, thinking we've got plenty of time. This, we can talk about it later. And then something happens, and you have your last kid graduating. And it's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be with Daniel. It's just going to be us. Sorry, honey. I don't mean that bad. And y'all don't tell him I said that, okay? But it's good. I mean, I think you have big plans. It's kind of like saving for college. You have big plans to put and invest in college for your kids through the years, but then you don't. And you have big plans to be with your spouse one-on-one. Like, I'm going to do this every week. We're going to have a date every week. And something happens and you don't. And time passes. And then here you are where you are. But I think it's important through the years to communicate well with your spouse and to do those things together, just the two of you, because that day comes quick. And I will say, honestly, we haven't done what we've needed to do to build that up. We're starting to now, but I think it's important to do things like that along the way, so your relationship just grows and grows and grows.
Yeah, I've read that somewhere, where one of the things that a woman even thinks about even more is where is our marriage, and what's it going to be like to go through that. And so you're already starting to talk about that? We're
starting to talk and think about it. And it kind of makes us a little sad to just be the two of us, because it hasn't been the two of us for so many years.
So the grandbabies will come.
That will all come later, but I think that's where you do pick up a few hobbies.
Yeah.
And you pick up some different things, but also reconnect and do more with your spouse, because I think a lot of marriages fall apart during that season of life, because you're living with somebody and you're like, who is this person I'm living with? I don't even know them anymore. And I don't want to get to that point or that place in our marriage where we feel that way. Whereas if we're already connected and we're already, doing these things, it won't be quite as hard of an adjustment.
Yeah. And I think, just thinking about that empty nest thought is the sadness. The sadness is I'm really coming to the end of a chapter in my life, and it's over.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the sadness you feel. But then too, where is it going to go from here? Like, would a project just really take care of that heartache. So have you thought about that any, as far as that sadness, or is there something you could describe in that would help anybody who's going to be facing that or in that?
I mean, I feel like the sadness is there, and I feel like it will be there. I would think it would get easier over time, but plugging into, I think you could be more involved in your church. I think that's a good opportunity to do that, when before you would say no to things because you are so busy with life and your family. So I think that's an opportunity to do that. But then I think it's good to just jump in and just do things. Just do something, like, quilting, or I don't know, whatever it is that you love. Connect more with people. I'm a people person. I love being with people. And the pandemic, there for a while kind of put a damper on all of that, but I was still living my life and still was out there. So, you can always do more of that, but.
Well, like in your case, I mean, you have a business. You're an entrepreneur with Mary Kay. Now, will you see that shifting? Like, will you dive into that more, or what do you think you'll do with that?
I will. You see a few pink Cadillacs kind of around town. You don't see a lot of them, but when you do, that's a trophy. Like, that is a trophy on wheels to see a pink Cadillac. That girl worked hard. I'm not there, and it's okay, because I have been investing in my kids. My business, yes, and growing that, but my family and my kids are so much more important, and I feel like the Lord honors that. Like, priorities first. And Mary Kay is great, because her philosophy was always God first, family second, career third. And if you do it in that way, everything works out. And
That's cool.
And it does.
It is cool.
That's cool.
And I love that about Mary Kay. And I love the opportunity, because it's so much more than makeup. It's so much more. It's helping women. It's investing in women. You hear stories of their lives and things that they're going through. And I mean, it really is a ministry. I know that sounds weird.
No, but could you?
But it really is.
I wouldn't mind you telling us about that a little more. Like, what? So, like, I figured it was just eyeliner and stuff like that, and rouge. I learned the word rouge. But I thought it was a little more than. I didn't see it as much in terms of the relational aspect. But would you say that's one reason you've loved Mary Kay? And could you tell me a story?
It's so relational. I have customers that I have serviced for 10 years who. It's just the connection. It's people connection. I mean, older women, 70-year-old women who love to see you, women who are going through crises with their children. They don't know what to do. I have a customer whose son is a drug addict, and she constantly tells me to pray for him. She's not a believer, and I don't talk about that stuff all the time, because I feel like, we're an open book on how we live our lives, and she knows how I live and what I do and how I carry myself. Not perfect, but you know what I mean? She knows I'm a Christian. So you get to help people. You get to pray with people. You get to help them feel more confident. And it's amazing how doing just something like washing their face can just brighten their spirits from a phone call that said, my son is now back in a facility because he won't give up his drugs. So, it really is a ministry. And when you look at it that way, it's not about making money. It's not about the almighty dollar. It's really about helping people. And women know that. They know when you're trying to be a salesman, and they know when you're trying to really help them.
So you're not one of those high pressure Mary Kay ladies that call and say, you got to buy, you got to buy, you got to buy.
No, I don't think I am, y'all. Am I?
But we'll put her phone number in the bio.
I don't think that I am. I really, that's never my goal. I don't ever want to be that way.
That's kind of cool, because when I think of it, I'm on the outside. I don't really buy Mary Kay.
Yeah.
But I think of telemarketers, and I think of that comes to my mind, like just pressuring people. Oh, we got a sale going on. Oh, you got to buy this, and constantly getting called by these ladies like that. And so you don't really picture yourself like that. You really see it more as a relational.
And the more you're, and this is life, too. The more you're with somebody, the more relationship building it is. They say it takes up to 4 times to be in the space of someone to have that relationship good and built. So, the more I see people, the more I can hug them, the more I can smile and encourage them, the more that relationship builds. And that's life. That's just the way we all should roll with who we connect with. It's just not, yeah.
That's kind of neat because I could see how that could help if you're becoming an empty nester. I could see how that could help because it still has a relational piece to it that becomes more important than just making money or doing something you like.
Right.
Because sometimes I would think that if I was involved in that world, I would be a little skeptical of you. I'd wonder, well, what's her angle here? She just can play the charm and try to do that, but is she really like that? And I guess like you're saying, 4 times they start reading you and they really find out you're legit and you're real. And you just open your heart as well.
Yeah. And I do feel like people watch us. They watch us, and more than what we realize, how we act, how we conduct ourselves, how we live our lives. And I mentioned that already, before they'll actually feel like they can be part of your world or part of that relationship and trust you. Yes. I mean, you don't get that in a first or second connection. You just don't. It takes some time of connecting and being with people.
I want to shift gears real quick and ask you, so Leah graduated from our academy, Triad Baptist Christian Academy. Luke is about to graduate. So what is it like walking through the end of your youngest child's high school year? I mean, we're talking about like soccer games. He's very involved. Graduation, he's on yearbook staff, and I've worked with Luke on yearbook this year, and he's very creative and a good writer. I mean, what's it like going through sort of this last chapter with him?
You definitely soak up every moment. I did that with Leah too. I really soaked it all in. But when it's your last one, you tend to be a little bit more that way, being more involved. Backing up a minute, that's why I've loved my Mary Kay business, because I work when I want to. And that way I didn't miss any games. I was here for their sports. I was here for all of those things that I felt like I would look back on one day and be like, I'm so glad I did that. And not everybody can do that. And I understand. But I'm so glad that I had the option and the opportunity to be part of all that. But it's just so fun to watch your child grow and to mature, to get their driver's license, to, that's another story, watching them drive to school by themselves for the first time. You remember that. So scary and fun all at the same time, but to watch them mature and grow and to be part of a great school where that they're being taught great things. We never expected the teachers here to raise our kids. They invested in them. That was our job, to raise them, but there's a peace of mind that comes with being in a great, great school that teaches your children.
So what is something that the Lord has taught you through your children growing up, through watching your children grow up? What's a lesson that God's really laid on your heart or encouraged you with that you could encourage, other parents with?
Well, to be patient, to love your kids where they are. It's so easy to try to change them and to make them to be someone that they're not. And I have found with my 2 kids, I have 2 totally different children, which is probably the case for most people. Not all of our kids are not alike. I have one who's very, very outgoing and laughy and smiley, and that's just the way she is. And she's a lot like her mom, and just happy-go-lucky. And then I have another one who's happy and great in his own way, quieter.
He seems very content.
He's
very content.
And I tell him all the time, when you get married one day, your wife is going to love you because you don't say anything about anything. So, he's just very low key and very, he's always thinking, those kind of quiet people you got to watch out for, because they're always thinking. You never know what's going on in their mind. But what a great blessing, and throwing them both together and mixing them all up has been so great. And they've taught me a lot about that, about how to just accept people for who they are. God made everybody different, and we don't need to try to change people. And that has been it's been a great thing, a great journey.
That is cool. That is good. I'm just struck by, just the energy you bring to the table with your family and your life, and just kind of really cool to kind of see how you're enjoying that. And knowing you're coming up to a hard time, and yet at the same time, you're not going to let that take away who you are, the energy, the investment, and say, okay, it is going to be tough, and I am going to be sad, but I'm gonna continue to move on with my life, and I'm going to honor the Lord and do what I can to continue to make it count.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
That's really cool.
That's great.
Well, it's great. Well, I feel like I could go on. I was going to ask her what the hardest time in her life was. What do you think about that? What was one of the hardest times in your life? Maybe anything on your.
Oh goodness, hardest time in my life. I don't know.
Have you had any?
She never had any.
No. I have many hard times. I guess like family, and when things don't go the way that they should, or sickness. We have a little bit of some anxiety and depression within my family, and it's hard to see things like that because you hear people talk about illnesses, whether they be physical or whether they be mental. And mental illness is very, very common. And a lot of people have that and we don't really know. And
almost chemical, like it's even in your line.
And then when it hits your home, not directly, but in your family, it's a little bit hard, like, why, or, why does this happen? But, life is not perfect. We all smile, we all laugh, we all have a great time. And it's great to be that way because laughter is like a medicine. The Bible talks about it, and we should always be that way. But that doesn't mean that we don't have hardship and hard things that come towards us. But I think it's how we handle them that make us a stronger person through it. But, and we just pray that the Lord takes those things away and, and then we
encourage
just
each other, though, right? Love and encourage each other.
Yes.
I think as our Connect group talks about that a lot. A lot of people deal with stress and anxiety and depression. And what is so healing is having people to connect with and to love you through that. So I think that's important.
I think so too.
And not letting it take you down.
Right.
Or debilitating you to the point where you can't move. Like I feel that in your life, like you're like, I'm going to push through this, whatever I have to face, whatever I have to deal with. I'm not going to let it ruin my life and my perspective.
That's right.
That's cool.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Great.
That's good.
Yeah.
Hey, well, thanks for sharing today. Thanks for coming by. That was just kind of exciting.
This has been a lot of fun.
I'm excited. Thank y'all for having me. What an honor. And goodness, I just feel so special.
Well, we have hoped that you have enjoyed this episode as well. And if you would, like, share, and review us. And let us know what you think, what you would like to see on future episodes. I do want to give a quick plug for our academy. Triad Baptist Christian Academy is just a great school. It really focuses on the academics and the spiritual relationship with Christ. And you can check that out at tbcanow.org. So visit us at tbcnow.org. Visit the academy at tbcanow.org. Have a great week.
Thanks for joining us this week on TBC Today. We want to connect with you, so make sure to visit our website, tbcnow.org, and subscribe, rate, and review the show in iTunes, Spotify, or Amazon Music. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend, and be on the lookout for our next conversation.